It sort of rehashed old revelations with a new twist. As it turns out, we've apparently been wrong all along. Britain is a nasty, racist hellhole where only magnificent Meghan stood up to all this, and the world's biggest victim.
The California dream is starting to look shaky, like the sunshine is fading fast. Prince Harry is reportedly getting ready to step away from Montecito, packing up the mansion that once screamed freedom, fresh starts, and peace of mind. But this move doesn't feel calm or casual. It feels calculated. It feels like someone reading the room and realizing the heat is rising. This isn't about healing old wounds. It's about shielding yourself when things start closing in. And here's the twist. The same royal system Harry once blasted now looks like the safest bunker he's got. Of the Atlantic. These aren't random of the Atlantic. These aren't random vacation snaps. They're yacht photos, showing Meghan Markle moving through elite social circles that have sparked controversy in public conversations for years. Some online commentators have drawn comparisons to past scandals involving figures like Giuffre Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, names that carry serious baggage. There is no proof of wrongdoing in these photos, but the optics alone have people talking non-stop. The similarities to past royal drama, especially the scrutiny once faced by Prince Andrew, have critics asking if the palace has seen this kind of storm before. For Harry, who spent years breaking away from royal life, the timing feels brutal. Piers Morgan's comments shifted the vibe overnight. California suddenly doesn't feel like a chill escape anymore. It feels exposed, it feels watched, and that changes everything. Morgan, never one to stay quiet, claimed that after one of his explosive interviews, Meghan reached out to his employers privately in an attempt to challenge him. No press conference, no public back and forth, just direct contact behind closed doors. Morgan says he's not backing down. He argues the information he's gathered raises real questions worth asking, especially about influence and access at the highest levels. Those questions focus on privilege, connections, and lifestyle. Public records and eyewitness accounts place Meghan at exclusive Soho House events, including an Istanbul opening in 2015. Insiders reportedly described her presence as social filler, a term used for guests invited to keep high-profile events buzzing and glamorous. That kind of invitation list isn't normal Hollywood networking. That's elite-level access, private jets, luxury yachts, international parties, not once, not twice, but over several years. Observers started noticing what looked like a pattern. Meghan was starring on a modest cable show, and while Suits brought visibility, industry estimates suggest that salary alone wouldn't easily fund constant five-star travel and Mediterranean getaways. So naturally, people began asking, who opened those doors? Who made the calls? And how deep did those connections really go? Piers Morgan didn't invent these rumors out of thin air. He stepped into a conversation that had been moving quietly in corners for years. No direct accusations, no courtroom claims, just persistent questions that refused to disappear. The focus has always been the same: extreme wealth, ultra-private spaces, and social circles most people will never even see. When those old photos resurfaced after Meghan appeared beside a prince with a royal title, the meaning shifted fast. Context changes everything. Moments that once looked harmless suddenly felt layered. Details that seemed small started looking heavy. Then the name Ghislaine Maxwell entered the wider conversation again. Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence in Florida. Her former influence is gone, her social network dismantled. Prosecutors have repeated a simple point in past commentary. People tend to stay quiet when silence still works in their favor. Once that benefit disappears, dynamics can shift. That reality alone has fueled speculation online. Some media reports have suggested Maxwell has referenced individuals from elite social circles she once moved through. No verified claims connecting Meghan to any wrongdoing have been presented, but the overlap in high society environments has been enough for online commentators to start drawing their own lines. That's where the public chatter begins to brush up against Meghan's earlier social world, at least in theory, not in proven fact. And for Harry, the optics feel intense. His wife's former connections are being re-examined, while his relationship with the royal family remains strained. What once looked like bold independence is now being described by critics as strategic retreat. Observers say this doesn't look like rebellion anymore. It looks like recalibration, a quiet shift back toward royal protection, not because of longing, but because pressure changes priorities. The California chapter was marketed as peace, privacy, and control. Now some commentators argue it feels complicated. Morgan's steady drumbeat keeps the spotlight hot. His critics label it fixation. His supporters call it accountability. Either way, the conversation is alive again. The royal brand has always been built on image control. Harry and Meghan tried to shape their own version of that, choosing interviews carefully, telling their story on their terms. But control is fragile in the age of screenshots and archived clips. The internet holds receipts forever. What began as a love story about walking away from an institution now sits tangled in the same systems of power and influence they once criticized. From palace balconies to California estates, from glossy yacht photos to serious courtroom headlines, the connections may not prove anything illegal, but visually, they create uncomfortable questions for some viewers, and perception in the public arena can be just as powerful as fact. Right at the center of this conversation sits Soho House. Publicly, it's a private members club for creatives and industry professionals. Behind closed doors, insiders have long described it as something more layered. International locations where Hollywood energy mixes with global finance. New money meets old influence. Celebrities share space with people who prefer never to be photographed. These gatherings weren't random hangouts. They were curated spaces, controlled lighting, controlled guest lists, controlled vibes. According to various insiders over the years, Meghan was present at several of these events. Some described her role as helping create atmosphere, not as the headline attraction, not as the power broker, but as someone who added warmth and charm to the room. No evidence suggests wrongdoing. Still, critics argue that proximity to elite networks always invites scrutiny. In high-level circles, presence alone can spark narratives, and right now, those narratives are loud. The legal spotlight shifted hard during the Virginia Giuffre civil case. This is where things moved from online whispers into real courtroom territory. During the lawsuit that seriously damaged Prince Andrew's public image, Meghan Markle's name almost entered the room. Not as a defendant, that part is important, but as a potential witness. Witnesses aren't accused of crimes. They're people who may have seen or heard something relevant. During the discovery phase, investigators reportedly reviewed her background because she was living in the United States, had social overlap with Prince Andrew during certain years, and had appeared in elite circles that later faced criminal scrutiny. Ultimately, she was never called. The case settled before testimony was needed, but it wasn't about the outcome. It was about the fact that federal investigators even considered it. In cases that serious, names don't surface without reason. At the time, wedding headlines and glossy media coverage dominated attention. Now, with renewed public debate and fresh commentary, that near testimony moment is being discussed all over again. The pressure is hitting from every angle, and it's getting hard to dodge. This isn't one single problem, it's a stack of issues crashing into each other. Local chatter in Montecito suggests the social vibe has shifted. Invitations reportedly slowed down. Charity galas moved forward without certain familiar faces. Even casual spots, upscale cafes and boutiques, are said to feel less warm than before. One anonymous local voice put it bluntly. Montecito values privacy. Big noise and constant headlines don't always blend well in a town built on quiet influence. Whether that's fully accurate or just perception, the mood reportedly feels different. The financial side adds even more pressure. Netflix, which signed a massive deal with the Sussex brand,
Maxwell was just sentenced to 20 years behind bars for her part in grooming young girls to sexually service Jeffrey Epstein and his friend.
reportedly expected strong, audience-grabbing content. Some projects sparked debate but didn't deliver lasting engagement, according to entertainment insiders. In streaming, numbers speak loud. Meanwhile, reports of high staff turnover at Archewell raised eyebrows in nonprofit circles. Add in the heavy costs of a $14 million Montecito property, taxes, security, upkeep, and critics say the math looks tight. Right now, the spotlight feels intense. Staff costs, security bills, property taxes, the burn rate sounds intense, and the income streams that once looked solid seem to be cooling off fast. Spotify ended its deal publicly, with executive Bill Simmons openly criticizing the partnership. Netflix enthusiasm reportedly isn't what it used to be. Book buzz and paid speeches don't appear to command the same heat. Public curiosity has shifted, fascination turning into fatigue. Reports now claim Meghan has explored places like Texas, known for no state income tax, or even parts of Europe offering stronger privacy laws. If true, that doesn't scream upgrade. It signals adjustment. Critics say Montecito may have turned from dream escape into financial strain, but moving doesn't erase what's already circulating. Yacht photos discussed by Piers Morgan continue making rounds online. Old pregnancy timeline debates have also resurfaced. Meghan chose privacy, which is her right, yet that privacy sparked online comparisons and speculation. No verified evidence of wrongdoing has been presented. Still, unanswered questions tend to linger. And when silence stretches too long, curiosity only grows louder. Of course, medical and personal decisions can shift at any time. That's normal. But in high-profile circles, silence speaks loud. When timelines adjust without clear updates, the public doesn't just shrug. It starts digging. Each missing detail chips away at trust. Royal watchers say Prince Harry understands that pattern because he's seen how it plays out before. The Prince Andrew case still hangs heavy as a warning. Andrew's downfall didn't come from rumors alone. It came when evidence entered the legal record, sworn testimony, authenticated photographs, depositions under oath. Once documentation exists, public relations strategies lose power fast. That's the fear some commentators point to, the possibility of speculation turning into formal record. Once something reaches court filings or sworn statements, there's no rewind button. Andrew's situation showed how quickly years of damage control can collapse once legal truth steps in. Inside palace walls, that's the nightmare scenario. For now, the Sussex brand sits in a tight spot, balancing image and accountability. Critics draw comparisons because both situations involved proximity to elite social environments that later faced legal scrutiny. Andrew was directly named in sworn testimony by Virginia Giuffre, and that record remains permanent. Meghan, by contrast, has never been charged with wrongdoing and was never called to testify, though her name reportedly surfaced during legal discussions as a potential witness. That distinction is critical. Still, the overlap in legal frameworks, federal investigators, subpoena power, formal questioning, is enough to make headlines. Legal processes operate on records, not optics, and once testimony begins, narratives become fixed in writing. Harry also knows something many commentators mention. The royal institution has long relied on seasoned legal teams and crisis managers trained to contain controversy early. Protocols can help manage public storms, but they work best before subpoenas appear. Once legal mechanisms activate, Even monarchy has limits. History offers examples of containment. Princess Sophia entered royal life with a widely discussed public past. That history didn't vanish, but it stopped dominating headlines once she became part of the institution. Crown Princess Meta Marit publicly acknowledged past social links to Jeffrey Epstein in 2019. An apology was issued, coverage followed, and then the institution moved forward. Early clarity prevented escalation, but containment only works before legal escalation. Once questions are asked under oath, the record becomes permanent. That's the shadow hanging over the conversation now. At the center of it all is a question commentators say Harry may be wrestling with. What did he know, and when did he know it? Not in terms of proven wrongdoing, none has been established, but in terms of perception. If he was aware of certain past social appearances and understood how they might be viewed, critics argue the reputational fallout could be lasting. If he wasn't fully aware, then he may have walked into a storm without seeing the clouds forming. Either way, perception shapes legacy, and in royal life, legacy is everything. Either scenario points to loss of control, loss of credibility, loss of the California life Harry worked hard to build. Commentators say the fairy tale chapter feels finished. The same royal institution he once criticized now looks like the only structure with the experience and legal muscle to steady the storm. That irony is hard to ignore. This is the system he described as damaging and cold. Yet, when pressure builds, it becomes the fallback plan. The reported move away from Montecito feels symbolic. California wasn't just a home. It was a statement about freedom and independence. Now that image looks strained under non-stop scrutiny. Public debate keeps circling familiar themes. Yacht photographs discussed by Piers Morgan, broader conversations about elite social networks once linked in criminal cases, and past moments that critics say were never fully clarified. None of these points alone prove wrongdoing, but together they keep the spotlight hot. Add in renewed chatter about pregnancy timelines and official communications that some observers found confusing at the time. Meghan chose privacy, which is her right, yet gaps in explanation fueled online speculation. No verified evidence of misconduct has emerged, but unanswered details tend to linger in public memory. Inside their professional world, reported staff departures from the Archewell Foundation have raised questions in nonprofit circles. High turnover at senior levels often sparks talk about instability, fair or not. Financial pressures from expensive security and property costs only add to the narrative critics are building. What stands out most to many viewers is the silence. No detailed public rebuttals, no point-by-point clarifications. For figures who previously pushed back hard against criticism, the quiet feels noticeable. Silence can signal dignity. It can also invite speculation. In the court of public opinion, absence creates its own storyline. Harry's response has drawn attention too. Instead of launching public counterattacks, he appears focused on repositioning closer to royal frameworks. That shift fuels more questions. If allegations are completely false, some commentators ask, why not confront them loudly? Why not let legal teams issue strong denials? None of that proves guilt, but perception doesn't wait for proof. When relocation rumors surface and institutional support becomes visible, people connect dots, fairly or unfairly. That pattern hasn't gone unnoticed. The comparison to Prince Andrew continues to hover. Andrew's fall accelerated when sworn testimony and documented evidence entered the legal record. That's what changed everything. Not headlines, but official documentation. Meghan has not been accused or charged in relation to those cases. However, the fact that legal processes once reviewed overlapping social circles keeps the conversation alive. Observers say the real concern isn't gossip, it's documentation. If any matter ever escalated into formal testimony, records would become permanent. That's how legal systems work. And once something enters court filings, public relations strategies lose influence fast. Now, as reports suggest, Harry may be stepping back toward royal protection. Analysts argue the monarchy's priority would be institutional stability. Protecting the bloodline protects the crown. History shows that when pressure rises, the institution moves strategically. The California chapter once symbolized liberation from royal oversight. Today, it feels procedural, even legal. The romance narrative has shifted into questions about accountability and resilience. Commentators keep returning to one central issue. Did Harry fully understand every aspect of his wife's past public life, or did scrutiny evolve beyond what anyone anticipated? There may never be simple answers, but the scrutiny isn't fading. Financial strain, social distance, online debate, and renewed media focus are all tightening at once. The story isn't ending. It's entering a more serious phase, one defined not by fairy tales, but by facts, records, and reputation.